Hello everyone. For this first video I'm going to show you how to get around Photoshop and how to get set up for the first project. So I'm going to I'm in Photoshop, going to hit File, New, and in this big pop-up there's a lot of stuff here. The only thing we really care about is over here on the right. I want you guys to do something that's no bigger than 8 inches by 10 inches, and it can be vertical or horizontal, portrait or landscape. Resolution, I want you to leave at 300 and an RGB color of 8-bit. So really all of the defaults should be fine. If you would like, up here you can give it a name, and I'm just going to call mine collage for now, and hit create. You're going to end up in Photoshop, something that looks somewhat similar to mine. The way Photoshop works is you have a series of pull-down menus. We have a set of tools on the left-hand side. Sometimes you'll see them as a 2-column, and there's this little double arrow up here that you can click and get to single or double. You'll notice that most of these tools have a little ting in the corner. What that lets you know is that if you click and hold, there's actually a drawer full of other tools. So think of these as tool drawers, and you can click and choose what tools you want. Across the top, we have a whole bunch of icons. This is your options bar, and this is going to change depending on the tool you grab. So if I click the pen tool, I'm going to see stuff for drawing with pen. If I click a paintbrush tool, I'm going to get options for my paintbrush. The move tool will be options for moving. So that changes context depending on what tool you're using. Over on the right, you're going to have probably a few columns with a whole bunch of what are called panels. Sometimes you hear them called palettes. And these are just a whole bunch of things you can do and adjust and tweak. The ones we're going to care about a lot are layers. Those are usually down towards the bottom. We have all of these can be moved, rearranged, grabbed. You can click and drag them by dragging out the name. You can click and drag it back into a group. You have the ability to rearrange your workspace kind of however you want. If you accidentally pull something out and click the X and delete it so that you can't find it, under the window pull down up at the top, these are all the different panels, windows, palettes that you can open up. So you can always bring back something that you've accidentally deleted. Yep. So we have those. Up here in the upper right corner, we have a few icons. This one that looks like a little window, actually, a little dialog box. If you click that, these are some pre-made workspaces. And Essentials is the one that we use for the most part and will be the only one you'll really be using. But under Essentials, you can always reset Essentials if you mess everything up to where you just can't find anything, right? And your panels are all sort of messed up. You can always just reset the Essentials and get back to the basic setup. So that's Photoshop interface in a nutshell. We have our main document, we have tools, options for our tools, and different panels we can use over on the right. What we're going to be doing with these collages is basically cutting out elements and moving them around, playing with sizes and positioning, things like that. So in this video, I also want to introduce you to the layers panel and make some marks and talk about that. So layers are about what it sounds like. If you imagine Photoshop is a nearly infinite stack of invisible sheets of paper that you can work on. And what you want to do is to put objects on different layers so that you can move them around separately and independently of each other, as if you were shuffling sheets of paper. You can rearrange the order of the paper, scale them, do all kinds of cool things. So in our layers panel, we have a whole bunch of icons across the top. We're not going to worry about those right yet. We have what's called the layer stack, and right now I've only got one layer, the background layer. and we have a little eyeball we can click on and off to show visibility, the name of the layer, and a little thumbnail of what it looks like. And then down along the bottom, we actually have a bunch of icons. The ones we're going to worry about for the most part right now are the ones on the right hand side. So we have a trash can, does what you think. It allows you to throw layers away. We have a little box with a plus in it, and that allows us to make a new layer. So by clicking that, I get a new layer. And you can see now that my layer has a little checkerboard, gray and white checkerboard. That is Adobe's way of saying there's nothing there. It's just empty pixels. So I'm going to play with a paintbrush and draw some stuff. And that's from something I was doing the other day, so I'm going to actually go back to a normal paintbrush. You guys can ignore this, but if you want, brush settings, window brush settings, we can do all kinds of really cool things with brushes. And I will have some tutorials for you guys on how to use these eventually. For now, I'm just going to leave it simple. Okay, so I have the ability to draw some things on my layer, and you can see that I have the little thumbnail down here in the corner shows my stuff. Now if I make another layer, I'm going to change my color to something else, and I can color. Now you'll see that my layer 2 is on top of layer 1, and you can see that it looks like it's on top, right? If I click and drag this layer, and if I hold down with my left mouse, you can see a little hand. It's like I've got that grabbed, and I can drag it down until I see the blue line and let go. And now you see that I've moved layer 2 underneath layer 1. So I can easily rearrange my layers as to what's on top of what. Imagine yourself as a little person up here looking down a well. The background, bottom of the well, is the furthest away from you, and as things get closer to you, they're going to be on top of each other, kind of like a stack of paper, right? Yep, we can turn layers on and off with a little eyeball, and we can rearrange our order. We also have the ability to do some cool things. Our default move tool in the upper left, it looks like a little cross with arrowheads. If we grab that and move around, you'll see that I am only moving what is on whatever layer I have selected, and I can move stuff around. If I want to move stuff on layer 1, I switch to layer 1 and I can move it around. Pretty cool. We also have a wonderful, wonderful tool, Edit Free Transform. Control T or Command T if you're on Windows or on a Mac. Control T becomes your friend. What this does is it gives you a bounding box with little grips on the corners and edges. If I have my arrow inside the box, you'll see that it's a little black triangle. I can move stuff around, very much like the move tool over here. But if I come over to the edge, this bounding box, you're going to see that my cursor turns into a little double arrow. What this lets me do is scale things, and I can grab and move. By default, what it does is it's called locks proportions. So as I scale in one direction, it scales in the other and stays basically the same proportions. But if I hold down the Shift key, and now you can see that I have the ability to free size this, and I can make it much wider, or I can make it shorter, taller, separate from the width and height are separate from each other. And all that is pushing the Shift key down while you're doing things. We also have then, if I'm on the inside, it's a move. If I'm on the edge, it's a scale. And if I go outside, you're going to see that my double arrow turns into a curvy double arrow. And what that does is it allows me to rotate. So with this one tool, just depending on where your cursor is, I can move, I can scale, and I can rotate, which it allows me to do quite a lot of positioning and adjustment in sizes. If you care about precision, up here in the options bar, you can see that I can manually type in information and actually set everything to very specific sizes. if I care. When you're done with your moves, we have these two Adobe icons. The check mark says, yep, I'm good, commit that. The little circle with the line says, nope, I'm good, I don't want to do that, let's cancel. Quick keys for those are enter to accept and say okay, or the escape key to cancel. So now I have the ability to make pieces, rearrange them, scale them, rotate them, and do a lot of cool stuff. So that's it for the end of this first video.